After nearly 3 decades covering the Buffalo Bills, this guy knows what he's talking about. Welcome to SalSpeak, the place to be for hard-hitting analysis from Sal Majorana of the Democrat and Chronicle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SalSpeak. I am Sal Majorana, and I am with Jeff DeVeronica today. Leah Roth is off somewhere out of town. I think he has a hockey tournament
AWOL.
with his son. He's AWOL, so Devo is going to step in today for our Facebook Live and our live stream on DemocratandChronicle.com. So if you're watching, go text all your friends and tell them to start watching the show. Today we're going to talk about Buffalo 4-2. The Bills have won 4 games in a row for the first time since 2008. And they head to Miami for a big game Sunday afternoon against the Dolphins, who have somewhat been revived by a big win last week over the Steelers. So it's an AFC East game, always tough on the road, certainly no pushover this week, Jeff. And one of the big things reasons why it won't be a pushover is the Bills may not have LeSean McCoy for this game. He suffered a tweak or a tight hamstring
Now
in
let's
practice.
break this down.
Well,
because
we will.
We're looking at it differently. I hear he has a tight hamstring, and I'm wondering, okay, it's just tight. It's not injured. It's not tweaked. Tweak, again, if you want to go with verbiage, tweak to me is more serious than tight. Tight to me is not injured. It's just
right.
Tender. Now, to me, I'm wondering if the whole thing is, I mean, it's not total gamesmanship, but I think I'm 60-40, he will play. You're 20-80.
I'm the other way because I've covered the NFL a long time, and this is how they handle injuries. And they don't want Miami knowing that LeSean McCoy is not going to play. They want to throw a little bit of doubt on the Dolphins. Not that it really matters because the Bills are still going to run the ball the way they run it, no matter who's back there. Sure, you're preparing for LeSean McCoy, but their run game doesn't change. So I think it's all silly that these NFL teams get so paranoid about these things. But the reason I don't think McCoy is going to play, number one, they no longer have to put an injury report out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They have to do it on Friday, and that's when you get your status. Questionable, there's no more probable anymore. Questionable or doubtful or out are the 3 statuses. But during the week, they do have to put out a participation report, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday, after practice, Rex Ryan came to the podium after he'd already talked to the media earlier in the day, and he was the one who announced that McCoy and also fullback Jerome Felton did not finish practice. That could have very easily, Devo, been done by one of the PR guys. In fact, Scott Bursthold usually handles the injury report. What tipped me off that this was something newsworthy is that Rex came over and made sure he was available and accountable in case there were questions. And, of course, I asked the first question, what happened? And he had to answer a couple of questions. Then I talked to 2 players, Tyrod Taylor and Reggie Bush, and they both said, I think he'll be fine, he's playing. When you hear things like that,
it's the reverse.
It's the reverse. So I have a funny feeling that he's not going to play, and they're just trying to hold off the Dolphins on knowing this until the very last moment.
So who's on the spot then? Gillislee and Reggie Bush.
Right.
And so Gillislee, basically. Because
Gillislee is the
either
backup.
they don't have confidence in Reggie Bush or Reggie Bush doesn't have a grasp of the offense. He's been barely used. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could have done almost as much as he has for $1 million a year.
But you
right?
wouldn't have looked as good. But
well,
anyway.
But what's the deal with him?
Yeah, I don't know. They signed Reggie Bush right before training camp, as I recall. I forget, I'm getting old, but I think it was right before the start of training camp. Yeah. He was supposed to be, they said, a punt returner. That was completely foolish. He hasn't done that job in the NFL since like 2008. So a 31-year-old guy as a punt returner doesn't work. They brought him in. I really thought he was going to be cut before the season. I thought the last cut of training camp, I figured he'd be gone because he hadn't done anything in the preseason games. He's still on the team. Then we all figured that once Marcel Darius' suspension was over and they had to get a roster spot, Reggie Bush would be the guy. Well, turned out that Darius was activated. Reggie Bush is still here. He's played in the 6 games the Bills have played, Devo. He's been on the field for 11 offensive snaps.
That's unbelievable.
He has virtually no role on this team. I'm not quite sure what they're doing with him, but if LeSean McCoy can't play on Sunday, Reggie Bush, I got to believe, is going to be part of the package because Mike Gillislee is the guy you bring in to give McCoy a break.
Right.
And you give him 4, 5, 6 carries, whatever it is. He is not a full-time back.
What about Jonathan Williams?
They tried this last year in the final game of the year against the Jets, 24 carries, 27 yards. He's a good guy to bring in as a change of pace, but not a full. So I got to believe that Reggie Bush will be in the package. You mentioned Jonathan Williams.
Yeah.
He's a rookie. He was their 5th-round draft pick this year. I don't think he's anywhere close to being ready to play in the NFL. He played briefly.
Just grasp of the offense? How tough is it to understand we're going to stick the ball in your gut?
I get that, but he played briefly last week, fourth quarter, game out of control. He fumbles the ball. You can't do that in the NFL. Right. So I got to believe Reggie Bush will be a part of this game plan this week. We're going to finally see what he can do. Again, assuming McCoy can't play, and all indications to me. We'll see after practice. I've already checked the report today from the guys who are over in Buffalo. No sign of Bush, Darius, and Reggie Robert Woods. All 3 of those guys not on the practice field. That's not a good sign.
Throw this at you, and I choose that word specifically here. Do you think there's any chance they mix it up here and they say, you know what, we've been so one-dimensional to a degree, running the ball, it's been our bread and butter. Maybe, just maybe, we try to surprise them and open it up the first quarter and let Tyrod loose. Well, now, who's he going to throw to?
That's the problem, exactly. Last year, they played Miami, 3rd game of the season. No one knew what Tyrod Taylor was. And they had LeSean McCoy. They're trying to build their running game, and sure enough, they came out throwing the ball. He had a great first quarter. I think he threw a deep one to Sammy, and then Sammy got hurt, and it was the end of his day. Clay had a big game going back to Miami. So they did attack the Dolphins through the air. Big injury for Miami this week. Their safety, their best defensive back, Rashad Jones, out for the year, torn rotator cuff. So they're going to be a little bit weak in the secondary. Their pass rush has not been good. So you bring up a good point. The Bills could go to the passing game this week, try to surprise Miami. The issue is, though, without McCoy, they don't have to worry as much about the run game. They can commit more to coverage, and the other big factor, Buffalo's receivers, Devo, are absolutely god-awful.
Could we get a couple of the kids from Syracuse to come join the Bills now?
I hope they draft that kid, Etatawa, whatever his name is.
Oh, they got like 3 kids that could help the Bills.
The Bills receive, and if Robert Woods was in a walking boot yesterday. I mean, he got hurt against San Francisco. During the game, he finished the game, though, so we were thinking it wasn't going to be a big deal. He's now been out of practice 2 weeks, had a walking boot. I got to believe if you're in a walking boot, he's not going to play Sunday. I don't even know where they go at this point.
Do you think they use Bush in the pass game a little bit?
That's a thing we've talked about on the radio. We were talking about it in the press room yesterday. Why not use Reggie Bush? I've been saying this all year. The guy can still get out and catch the ball. He's done that his whole career. He could be a weapon in the passing game. They haven't utilized that at all. But right now, if Woods doesn't play, you're down to Marquise Goodwin, who is basically useless, and Justin Hunter, who has only played 2 games for the Bills, just joined the team a month ago. Those are going to be your 2 starting receivers. Salas is out on injured reserve. He's done for the year. Sammy Watkins is on IR. Hope to get him back in late November. I
think if you're 6'3", can run like the wind, the Buffalo Bills might want to take a look at
Call the Bills. If you can catch the ball, call the Bills right now. So it's going to be a major issue in this game offensively if they don't have Robert Woods for the passing game, and obviously LeSean McCoy
all
for the
that being
run game.
said, they did go and shut out the New England Patriots, albeit without Tom Brady.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Maybe this game is 17-14 Bills win.
It could very easily be a low-scoring game. I thought the Rams game was going to be a low-scoring game. Ended up being, they scored 30 points in that game. So we'll see. I don't think Miami's that good. I really don't. They played well against Pittsburgh for sure. Actually, it was their best game of the year by far. I'm not sure that's Miami, though. I think they got up for they were desperate at 1-4.
They're still desperate.
Had to win. Yeah. They are still desperate, but you almost talk about when a team does that, now it kind of gets the monkey off their back. If they come into this 1-5, then they're ravenous dogs, and I think that's even more of a problem for the Bills. So maybe it was a good thing that Miami did what they did last week and got that out of the way. Maybe they'll return to being more of the Dolphins this week. Now, we've talked a lot about offense.
The defense.
I think one of the keys in this game will be Buffalo's defense has to continue playing the way it's played. When you're looking at an offense right now that may not have LeSean McCoy, still has the erratic Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, and has no receivers to throw to, you got to think it's going to be tough to score. If you're going to win this game, Devo, they've got to play well on defense.
And they have. I mean, they have. So I don't think that's going to change. And I know you don't. Ryan Tannehill does not scare you. He never has. So I don't think there's any reason to believe that they're not going to play well on defense. And they might get Shaq Lawson. We both think they're not going to bring Lawson in now. But The defense has been terrific. It's been really what's carried this start. The rebound from the slow start, the 4 straight wins. So I don't see any way they're not going to play well because it's not like they're going against some juggernaut of an offense.
Right. Now, in the 4-game winning streak, they've allowed 4 touchdowns. I think its opposing passer rating is 67.0. That's pretty low in the NFL. So they've done a great job during this 4-game win streak. Last week against San Francisco, now granted, an offense that is pretty terrible with Colin Kaepernick at quarterback. That game was 17-13 in the third quarter. It was hanging in the balance, and the Bills defense came up with a huge stop, 3rd and 1 and then 4th and 1 at the Bills 40. Hey, San Fran's driving in there for a potential go-ahead score. The Bills stopped them. Chip Kelly with a completely lame brain 2 play calls there to run up the middle when you've got Colin Kaepernick as your quarterback.
Who'd run for 60-something yards.
And from that point on, the game turned. The Bills ran off and scored 4 touchdowns in a row and blew them out. So the defense has definitely held the Bills in these games for sure. Against L.A., too. Same deal. That game was right there for the taking for the Rams, and they could not drive the ball downfield and get it in the end zone to take the lead. So defense will be a huge factor in this game. With Miami, you mentioned Tannehill. They're 2-6. He's 2-6 against the Bills in his career. He's played like 1 good game against Buffalo in the 8 starts, too. What will be interesting is just Jay Ajayi, who blew up Pittsburgh for 204 yards last week. Nobody saw that coming. So I'm a little bit interested to see what Miami will do on offense. Will they rely on Tannehill, or do they think they can run the ball against the Bills? The Bills have been pretty good against the run this year. They've been pretty good in general against the pass, too.
Right.
But I am concerned about Ajayi. I can't say his name. Ajayi, whatever it is.
Tomato.
He's an unknown factor because there's really not a whole lot of film on him outside of last week. It'll be curious to see what happens there.
And you do not think Shaq Lawson will make his debut, and you don't think Darius is coming back?
No, I don't think Darius is going to play this week. He hasn't played all season long, as we know. The 4-game suspension, he comes right back and gets hurt immediately that week in practice. It's a hamstring. Those are really touchy. I know they're probably a bigger deal for the speed guys, but think about it. You're a 350-pound guy, and you've got to have leverage when you're being blocked. That puts pressure on your hamstring. A hamstring's a pretty important thing in life in general, but certainly in football. So I think they're going to be safe. This is Miami. You got to win the game, but it's not the New England game. I think they'd like to have him back for the New England game.
I haven't looked at the forecast, but it's been a pretty warm fall in Western New York.
Yep.
I don't think the heat's going to be a factor for the Bills.
It wasn't in L.A. It was 84 degrees that day.
Okay, the other thing I'm concerned about is this is your classic trap game. They could have a huge showdown with the New England Patriots, a chance to get tied for the division lead, and really announce themselves as, we can beat Tom Brady. And I get worried about that, the trap. They're going to overlook the Dolphins. That's going to be critical to me. They cannot, and we thought they started slowly against the Niners.
Yeah, they did.
So down in Miami, when you don't have the crowd behind you, they can't afford a slow start, in my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right.
Against anybody, because the way this offense is built, they're not going to be able to just drop Tyrod back and try to bring him back into the ballgame. They have to run the ball.
The Bills cannot play from behind. They're not a good team playing from behind. You can't rely on Tyrod Taylor to bring you back in the passing game. We've already discussed at the top of the show how weak they are right now. I got torched on Twitter over the week because I gave the passing offense, not just Tyrod. Everyone jumped on me for Tyrod. I gave their passing offense a D last week. They deserved a D.
Yeah.
That passing offense was horrible, and it was everything. It was the receivers, it was Tyrod, even the offensive line, which was great in the run game. I thought they struggled a bit in pass protection. He had some duress in that game. So this passing offense is nowhere near where it needs to be for the Bills to be functional on offense and balanced. And like we've talked about, without McCoy, that's going to be a bigger problem this week. Now, we look at the Miami game, Jeff. Historically, it's funny. One of the guys in the media broke this down. The Bills have gone to Miami with a winning record. Like I think the last 4 times they've had a winning record going down there, they've lost to the Dolphins in Miami. So you talk about a potential trap game.
Yeah.
That's one of those scenarios. Division opponents are always tougher to play on the road. Always. I mean, you can go to Los Angeles or Cincinnati or wherever. It's a different deal when you're playing the Jets, Patriots, or Dolphins on the road. These teams know each other so well, and that home field advantage generally makes a little bit of a difference. Somebody also told me this week the Bills have not been favored in a road division game since 2008.
Wow.
They were favored down in Miami. I think that was the year Miami was 1-15. They have not been favored. Now, think about this. The Jets have not been great every year.
Right.
Obviously the Patriots, but the Dolphins and Jets, and this is the first time they're going to be favored since 2008 in a road division
Tells
game.
us about the Buffalo Bills.
It does. It sadly does say a lot about the Bills. Give me your impressions last week. We might as well talk about this because it was a huge story. The video that Jeff did on Colin Kaepernick is blowing up on our website. It's one of the most, I think it's one of the biggest ones we've ever had for our Facebook page. What did you learn in that whole Kaepernick appearance last week?
I learned from talking to some fans that people are very passionate about this. You know, understandable. I also learned, and again, I've listened to Kaepernick talk over the last month or so, but he handles the whole situation very well. And when he said, what's unpatriotic about trying to hold America up to the standards it says it believes in and promotes, that everyone's treated equal, I kind of believe that. I kind of agree with him on that. And I don't agree with the method of kneeling down. I don't agree with that. I think he could do it a different way. But I admire his courage and his perseverance in this fight. And I think that is an issue in our country. But I just was very impressed with how this young man has really handled himself through what could be a crime. I mean, now he's a starter, so there's a little more of a spotlight on him, a little more pressure on him. He's going to be at that podium every single week. He couldn't do it as a backup. He wasn't going to be at the podium every week. But now as a starter, he's going to be, and he's going to start again this week. I think his accurate. I think he also showed as a player that there is still something there. His arm is not going to get him anywhere, but he's a lot like Tyrod Taylor. His legs can be a huge weapon if they're used right in the right matchup. So, but yeah, I mean, I was speaking to some of the fans before the game. It's amazing some of the passion and fire that this really sparks from people. And I think the people, some of that I talked to, were actually sober.
You caught them before the game, before
well,
it got
so they were tailgating for a couple
hours. They were
hours.
tailgating only a couple hours. It wasn't the whole day of drinking and debauchery out there in the parking lots at One Bills Drive. Big game for the Bills, as I said. This is one of those games where I think at the start of the season, you look at Buffalo's schedule, and everyone tries to do this. You pick the wins and the losses. It doesn't really matter. I don't know why we even try it, because it's who you play when you play. And right now, when the Bills playing the Dolphins this week, it's a game the Bills should win, and they really need to win. If they get to 5-2, you've got the Patriots coming to I almost did it again, the Ralph, coming to New Era Field next week for a game that will be for first place in the division. I assume the Patriots will win this week. They're playing the Ben Roethlisberger-less Steelers, so you figure they're going to be 6-1. They come to Buffalo next week, and you've got a chance to tie them for the lead, and with a sweep, you'd be in first place.
Absolutely. It's huge. I mean, it's absolutely huge.
So you got to take care of business.
At that point, you can stop worrying a little bit about the wild card and say, we can win the division.
Well, no, they can't. Don't even think about that. They are not winning the division.
If you can beat the Patriots, you can beat anybody. I don't care where they're playing.
Because if they beat the Patriots, Jeff, then New England might end up with 3 losses, at the end of the season. So that's not happening.
All right.
Buffalo is in the wild card hunt, and that's going to be.
You forget that the Patriots were in a game last week against the Bengals, too.
And
that thing didn't turn around.
And ended up blowing
them out. You kept
out.
saying to me in the press box, just wait, Devo, just wait. I kept saying,
exactly
Sal,
what
look, the Bengals are beating the Patriots in New England. Just wait. And like in a blink, it suddenly was a 10-point game.
But they beat them by 18 points at the end. Yeah. So New England is a different cat. If the Bills could somehow pull off a win next week and sweep them, it's great, obviously, but I don't think it's going to matter in the division race. So my point is, you got to take care of business in Miami. You get to 5-2. You give yourself a little bit of leeway when the schedule gets much tougher the next 3 weeks. You got the Patriots. They're going to go out to Seattle and probably get killed on a Monday night out there. That is an assignment nobody wants. It's bad enough going to Seattle for a regular Sunday game. For a Monday night game, almost an impossible ask for the Bills. And then they get the Bengals in what will be a huge game. Because
I don't
Cincinnati.
like you more. You give them such good bulletin board material.
Reality. I deal with reality when it comes to the Bills.
They're going to go to Seattle and get killed.
And I'm generally right when I'm talking about reality with this team. Then they go to Cincinnati in the 10th game of the year. It'll be a huge game, but it's there. Cincinnati is going to be in the mix for wild card. It looks like Pittsburgh will probably win that division. So you're looking at the Bengals as a team you absolutely have to beat to get that wild card tiebreaker.
Now, Leo doesn't think they can go to Oakland and win. I think they do.
And that's another one. That's another team you're going to be in direct competition with for a wild card spot. So they've got some huge games coming up. So like I said, the whole point of this little rant was this Miami game has to go in the W column. They cannot stub their toe. They've got to take care of business and give themselves a little bit of breathing room when, like I said, things will get much tougher the next 3 weeks. What do you think?
My speech, if I'm Rex Ryan, I say, look, guys, all that stuff we heard the first couple of weeks, we can completely wash it away if we can get to 5-2 and have Tom Brady coming into our house. And then, not only is the whole bad start washed away, now we can announce ourselves by beating Brady as a Super Bowl contender. Now, that's probably a little hyperbole, but still, certainly a playoff contender. If they can beat Brady and sweep the Patriots, they will have won what? There will be 6 wins in a row.
There will be 6 in a row, yes. I know. Hey, there's a lot of great scenarios here. But like I said,
it all could change on Sunday.
It could all change if they go down there and stub their toe and play like the Bills have played so often in games like this. Now, let's say this.
But they haven't the last 4 weeks.
I had a similar feeling when they went to Los Angeles. They won those 2 games that nobody thought they'd win, Cardinals and Patriots. And you go out to L.A., who was 3-1 at the time. I thought it was a pretty weak 3-1, but you're going out to their place, 84,000 people on an 84-degree day. That was one of these games where you think the Bills of the past would have blown that. They played great. They won. This is another game that is in that category of, yeah, they should win. Can they do it? I think this Bills team, and I said this in 2008 and bit my tongue 5 weeks later when they were 5-1. I said, this team is different. They weren't. They ended up losing, 8 of their last 9 games or whatever it was.
So do you guys do predictions on this show?
We do not do predictions on this show.
Okay.
So take care of business. I think this Bills team is a different team this year. Rex Ryan is coaching much better. His staff is better with Rob Ryan and John Blake and these guys, Ed Reed, who he's brought in. I think it is a different team. And I think they've got their act together, and I think they will take care of business on Sunday afternoon. There you go. That's as close as I'll come to a prediction
I'm gonna say
before I make it in the paper.
21-13 Buffalo football Bills. That's what I'm going to say. With or without Shady McCoy. With Shady McCoy, I think they could win this thing going away.
All right. I'm still picking the Bills, too. I'll give you my score in a couple days.
Okay.
All right.
Check out his Twitter.
I want to see what happens with McCoy and
it's true.
a
That's
couple
a huge
other things
factor.
before I make a pick.
All right.
So for Jeff DiVeronica, I am Sal Majorana. Thank you for being here on SalSpeak. Thanks to everyone who saw the show on our live stream on DemocratandChronicle.com.
And the great production crew.
Absolutely. Remember, every Thursday, 12:30 p.m., on your lunch break, this is where you got to be for the best Bills talk around. So, again, for Jeff, I'm Sal. Have a great week and enjoy the Bills game on Sunday.